25 questions, okay? You're going to have 3 Excel problems. One of them is going to be cumulative markup. One of it is going to be markdown cancellation. And the other one is going to be a markup problem very similar to the one that we just did a few minutes ago. Okay? So you will have additional time to take the test as well, just to make sure that everybody can work through the Excel problems and feel comfortable with that. Yes, ma'am?
Did you say the Excel problems are going to be available for us to download before the exam?
No. No. So what happens is when you actually go into the Examity, they actually have the Excel problems downloaded within their system, because what happened is with the migration, the Excel problems are not crossing over. There's been some issues with it. So I sent them the Excel problems, so you will have them when you take the test. Yes, ma'am?
You said the 3 Excel problems were cumulative and what else?
Cumulative markup, markdown cancellation, and then a markup problem. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And remember, the exam will be on Chapter 2, markdowns only, and then Chapters 3 and 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, the jewelry department had planned sales of $670,000 for a 6-month period. Markdowns were planned at 17.7%. Determine the dollar markdowns. Go ahead and solve this problem. You have planned sales of $670,000. You know that your markdown percentage is 17.7. What is the dollar amount of the markdown? What do we do? I heard it. What do we do? Okay, we're multiplying. What are we multiplying? Okay, so when we do that, what do we get as our answer? Very good. Did everybody get that? Yes? No? No? What did you get?
I was trying to pull up the game, so I wasn't getting it.
Okay. All right. Everybody understand how to calculate the problem, right? I've given you the sales and I've given you the markdown percentage. If you're looking for the dollar amount, you're going to multiply. Okay. Now I have another question. Let me turn it around the other way. Say, for instance, I had given you planned sales of $670,000. I had told you that your markdown rate, your markdown dollar amount was the $118,590. What would you do then to figure out the actual markdown percentage? Divide. Very good. You're absolutely right. Okay. So if I had given you $670,000 and I'd given you $118,590 and I asked for the actual markdown percentage, I'm going to divide. All right. Very good. All right. Let's look at the next one. For a 3-month period, the markdowns for the baby department were 8.5%. If markdowns amounted to $98,000, determine the net sales for the period. You have markdown percent and you have markdown dollars. To tell me what the net sales for the period are going to be. What do we do? What do we do if we're looking for net sales? We have 4 choices, right? We can add, subtract, multiply, or divide. What do we think? Divide? What am I going to divide? Exactly right. So 98,000 divided by 8.5 will give me net sales of 1,152,941. Okay? So remember, if I'm giving you the percentage of the markdown dollars, and the percentage of the markdowns as well as the markdown dollars, you're going to divide to calculate net sales. Okay. All right. The difference between the total dollar markdown and total markdown cancellation. Think about this problem. This is that markdown cancellation problem that we did in Excel when we had the different promotions going on and we completed that document. So if we have a total dollar markdown and total markdown cancellation, the difference between the two is what? Your net markdown, absolutely right, okay? So total dollar markdown is the cost of the markdown that I'm taking. Markdown cancellation is when I decide to, in this particular case, in many instances, I'm marking something back up again. Think about a promotion that you're only having for 2 or 3 days. I'm going to mark it down for a few days, and then I'm going to mark it back up again. That's your markdown cancellation. The difference between the two is net markdown, okay? Also, too, just for you guys to know, there are going to be more fill-ins on this particular test. Where you'll be completing the problem and actually filling it in, okay? So in addition to the multiple choice and the Excel problems, all right? All right. Determine the dollar net markdown and the net markdown percent from the following. Gross sales are $600,000. Customer returns and allowances are $25,100. Total markdowns are $108,500, and markdown cancellation is $59,300. Determine the dollar net markdown and the net markdown percent. There's 2 steps to this problem, okay? Right? There's 2 steps. Okay, just think about the previous problem, right? We said, how do we calculate the net dollar markdown? What do we need to do in order to calculate the net markdown?
You need the gross markdown dollar and the markdown cancellation.
So you need your total markdown dollars and your markdown cancellation. Those numbers are provided to you here. Your total markdown is $108,500 and your markdown cancellation is $59,300. So if I'm looking for the dollar net markdown, what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract, right? So think about the previous problem. What is the difference? How do we calculate? Total markdowns minus markdown cancellation is going to give you the dollar net markdown. Now the other piece of it is what? What else am I asking for? Right. So what do I need to know in order to calculate my markdown percentage? What 2 pieces do I need to know? Very good. Very good. You're absolutely right. Great job. So first problem. Total markdown minus markdown cancellation. So 108,500 minus 59,300 gives me 49,200. Since that is the actual dollar amount of my markdowns, and I'm trying to figure out my markdown percent, if I divide that into my actual sales, I get 8.6%. Right? Whenever we're looking for the percentage of something, 9 times out of 10, what are we doing it? We're dividing into net sales, right, to get those percentages. Okay? Make sure you know this. There's quite a few problems around net markdowns and markdown cancellations. All right. Next problem. A reduction in the price of an item that previously had an additional markup is called what? Is it markdown, additional markup, or markup cancellation? A reduction in the price of an item that previously had an additional markup. So it's almost saying, I marked something down, I marked it back up again. What is that called? Go ahead, say it, go for it. Markup cancellation, you're absolutely right, okay? A reduction in the price of an item that had a previous markup, right? So it went out at the regular price. I decided to run a promotion, and then I ended marking it back up again. It's a markdown cancellation, okay? All right, here we go. During September, a children's store had a net markdown of $2,000, and total markdowns were $4,250. What is the markdown cancellation? Go ahead and calculate the dollar markdown cancellation for me, please. Guys, can you please make sure to put your drinks underneath your desks, please? Thank you. So, what do we do here? There's only 4 things. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. What do we think? Subtract, right? Because all I've told you here, I have a net dollar markdown and I know what the total markdowns are. So in order for me to figure out the markdown cancellation, all I need to do is subtract. So 4,250 minus 2,000 is 2,250. You guys are flat today. I'm feeling it. Come on. Only one. Let's just think about it. Just one more week, and then you guys have spring break. Isn't that cool? Is anybody going anywhere? Where are you going?
Destin.
Ugh, I'm not going anywhere. Where are you going? Who else raised their hands? Where are you going? Colorado? Oh, love Colorado. What part?
Keystone.
Oh, nice. Who else? Who's working during spring break? My loyal hard workers. Who's going home for spring break? Hanging out with mom and dad? Yes, have some good home cooking, have them do your laundry, right?
No, she'll make it.
She'll make you do your laundry? Oh, I guess I'm a sucker. I do my laundry when my son comes home. He's like, Mom, please do my laundry.
I feel like boys are more inclined to that than
Well, probably so, but he's actually done pretty good. I thought he was going to ruin some things or whatever, but there's still times when I get the phone call. What temperature do I put these in on? And do I put it in the dryer? Do I hang it or whatever? But he's made some progress, so it's hard to believe. He'll be almost done with his freshman year, so it just went by really quick. Blink of an eye. Blink of an eye. All right. Next problem. Sales for August were $13,877. Find the markdown percent for August if the buyer took the following markdowns during the month. We have 32 shirts that were marked down from $41 to $32, 15 pants from $22 to $16, 48 t-shirts, 19 to $12, 12 skirts from $77 to $62, and 10 dresses from $60 to $51. Work this problem and calculate what the markdown percent is going to be. So what do we do first?
Just trying to get the markdown.
Okay, so in order to figure out the markdowns, that's the first thing you have to do, right? If you know you're taking 32 shirts from 41 to 32, 41 minus 32 is the cost of the markdown times 32. So you need to do that for each of them, and then once you do that, you'll add them all together, and then you can figure out how to calculate the markdown percentage. Are you cheating?
That's the only PowerPoint those are available.
So, but why aren't you working it? You're not even supposed to be looking at it. You did? Let me see what you get. All right, just making sure. And why aren't you working the problem out?
I don't know how to do
Well, if you don't practice, how are you going to know?
it. Because I don't even know the formula or anything.
Well, where's your
my
form?
index card.
All right, so let me ask you this. Knowing what's being asked of you, right? You know that you're taking 32 shirts from $41 to $32, right? So the first thing you have to do is what? Calculate the cost of the markdown, right? So 41 minus 32 equals 9. And then I have to multiply by the number of shirts to figure out what the cost of the markdown is going to be. I have to do that for each and every one of them. So start there. And why are you cheating? Why are you cheating? Click out of there. You're cheating. You guys shouldn't have your PowerPoint open. That's more for your reference for later on when you want to go back and review it. It's not for you to be jumping ahead and getting the answers.
I just want to check my answer.
Well, I'll tell you the answer. I will be your checks and balances, my friends. Okay? I know it's a good gauge, but try to work the problems on your own, okay? Even if you make a mistake, that's okay. It's a matter of learning from that. That's what I'm going to start to do. I'm going to start to unpublish the reviews until after class, and then I'm going to have to publish them. All right, what do I do? Set it up for me. What do I need to do first? Okay. What am I subtracting? The person who said subtract. What am I subtracting? Okay. All right. 41 minus 32, and what does that equal to? 41 minus 32 is what? 9, right? Then, in order for me to figure out what the cost of the markdown is going to be, I need to multiply that by the number of shirts that I'm marking down, right? So then 41 minus 32 is 9. 9 times 32. 9 times 32 is equal to 288. You did it the long way?
I did. 15 times 22, 15 times 16, and then...
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Hey.
I know it's a lot easier.
Okay, there's an easier way to do it, so let's go through that, okay? It's perfectly fine, okay? So remember, whenever you're working through a problem like this, and you will see this on your test, okay? What you're always going to do is you're going to take the difference between the original and the new markdown price, right? So 41 minus 32. So the cost of the markdown is $9, and I'm marking down 32 shirts. 9 times 32. So for this particular shirt, the cost of the markdown is going to be $288. Okay? So you have to do that for each individual item, right? So same thing here, 6 times 15, 7 times 48, and so on and so forth. What do we do after this step? Add them together, okay? So when we added them all together, what do we get as our answer? 984. Okay, so that's the total cost of the markdown for all these items that I'm taking, correct? What's my next step after that? What am I dividing? And what do we get as our answer? 7.0 and not 7.1. Nicely done. Appreciate the fact that you guys might have gone the longer route, but if you got the same answer, that's okay. Here's a shorter version, okay, to be able to do that. Great job on this one. It looks like everybody nailed this one, which is great. You will definitely see a problem like this on your test. Okay? Good job. All right. Now here we go. A table lamp which retails for $86 was reduced by 6%. What is the new selling price of the vase after the markdown was taken? Calculate what the new price is. The table lamp retailed for $86. It was reduced by 6%. Tell me what the new price is going to be. And there's two ways you can do this problem. There's a longer way and there's a shorter way. Do we have an answer? This one's pretty straightforward. What do we get as our answer? 8084. So for those of you who solved it, how did you do it?
Multiply and then subtract.
Okay. So you did 86 times 0.06, which is the cost of the markdown is $5.16. 86 minus 516 is 8084. There's another way that you can do it. Does anybody have an idea?
You do 86 minus 6%.
Okay. You can do it that way, or you can do 86 times 0.94, and I get the same $80.84. Right? Because all you're doing is you're taking the complement of what that markdown is going to be. So you could have also done 86 times 0.94, and then you would just get the answer of $80.84. Okay? Very good. All right. The children's department received 134 pairs of boys' shoes that retailed for $26. The department sold 12 the first week, 36 the second week, 28 the third week, and 16 the fourth week. Calculate the sell-through percent for the month. 12 first week, 36 second week, 28 third week, and 16 fourth week. Calculate the sell-through percentage of the month. All right, what did we get as our answer? Anybody get an answer for me? Very good. What did you do?
I added all the numbers of them that were sold throughout the week and then divided that total by 134 and got my percentage.
Very good. Exactly right. So I'm going to add up all the units that I sold during the month, right? So I sold 92. I brought in 134. 92 divided by 134 is a 68.66%. Now, do me a favor real quick. Take that 68.66 and divide it by 4. Can somebody do that for me real quick? 68.66 divided by 4. What did we get? 17.1. So, if I wanted to determine the success, now let me ask you this question. Is this a good sell-through? Do we think that in 1 month, a 68% sell-through is a good sell-through on an item? Yes. You're absolutely right. The reason I asked you to divide it by 4, and we got, was it 17? 17%. That means on an average, over those 4 weeks, I was selling it at 17% a week. That is really good sell-through. Remember, anytime we got high single digits or double digits, that's a good sell-through. So say for instance, these are some basic black shoes, you know, for the children's, right? Basic black shoes. If you were the buyer, what would you do based upon this information? If you were the buyer or the planner, what would you do based upon this information?
You'd order more of the item.
You'd order more of the item, right? Probably by week 3, when you're seeing what you're selling on an average, you would probably call the vendor and start saying, when can I get more? Okay? Now, the thing that you have to take into account is, okay, if it's a basic shoe like black or brown, then I have a longer selling life. But if it was something that was more like a boot or and you're already going into the spring season, you probably wouldn't necessarily go back and reorder that. What you would do, so say for instance this was a boot, right? You had this good sell-through, and this happened in December, January, and you're already going into the spring season. What you would do is you would remember that item for next year and say, you know what? I remember when I brought this item in, we tried it, it was successful. Can you guys make me that boot, or are you going to have that boot on your line next year as well? Right? So there's going to be instances where it doesn't make sense for you to go back and reorder something because of the timing. But in this particular case, if it was a basic black or brown shoe, you can carry it year round. I'd be going back, picking up the phone and saying, how quickly can I get back into it? All right, very good. Okay, here we go. This next one is going to be one of the Excel problems. I believe it's going to be worth 5 points on your test. The sportswear department had opening inventory of $95,000 at cost with a markup of $45,500 on March 1st. During the month, the buyer for the department purchased additional merchandise with a retail value of $50,000 with a 48% markup. Calculate the cumulative markup percent. Okay, go ahead and start working this problem. Remember, I will give you the framework for the problem, right? It looks familiar, right? Looks familiar. at you. Are we ready? Need a few more minutes? Okay. You were at work last night. Where do you work? That back room looked familiar. Oh, one thing too, if anybody is planning on taking Buying 2 in the fall semester, do not sell back your textbook, okay? If you decide to take it, I'm changing up things for Buying 1 and Buying 2, and I'm gonna try to use the same textbook for both courses. So if you are taking Buying 2 in the fall, don't sell your textbook. Hold on to it. It's actually a pretty good textbook with all the formulas in it. Okay. Alrighty, what do we do first? What do we do first? Always. Put in what we know. So what do we know? Give me some numbers.
95,000 at cost.
95,000 in opening inventory? Okay.
Markup is 45.5.
Markup is 45.5. Okay.
Purchase retail is 50,000.
Purchased at retail, 50. And markup is 48. Okay, quick question for everybody before we get started. What is cumulative markup? How would we describe cumulative markup? It's actually kind of set up here to kind of make you think about it. What is cumulative markup? Okay, so elaborate on that. You're going down the right path, but so when you think about your opening inventory, what's your opening inventory mix of? Opening inventory is what you start off with. But in reality, though, you have a combination of what? Things that are at regular price, as well as things that are discounted or marked down, right? So you start with this opening inventory, and you have a combination of regular and marked down. So most likely you got a lower initial markup because of the combination of the inventory that you have. Then you bring in your new fresh purchases, and those fresh purchases are going to have a higher markup, right? Cumulative markup takes into account my opening in inventory, what's the markup on all the product that I have, plus the new purchases that I bring in, okay? So remember, cumulative markup, okay, is a combination of opening inventory, what I started with, as well as the new receipts that I've got coming in. All right, so walk me through the next step here. What am I going to do? I got to calculate retail here, right? So how do I do that?
95 divided by 45.5 or 100 minus 45.5.
Okay, and what do we get as our answer there?
174, 311.927.
311, here, I'll just leave it as 311, okay? How do I calculate cost?
Multiply 50,000 times 100 minus 48.
Okay, what do we get as our answer here?
46,000.
Okay. What's the next step? I'm adding across, okay? Because I'm looking for total, right? This is it's a giveaway. Whenever I'm asking for the total merchandise handle, I'm going to add the two together, right? So 174,311 plus 50,000 gives me 224,311. 95,000 plus 26,000 gives me 121,000. What's my next step after that? Retail minus cost divided by retail. And what do we get as our answer? 46.06%. Nicely done. Here's another guaranteed 5 points on your exam.
Which one was the one that we were supposed to subtract? Oh, that's the balance.
That's when you're looking for balance. Yes. No, that's all right. Good question. Okay? Here we go. This is the other Excel problem that's going to be on your test. All right. I got one more for you. In a small leather goods department, the markdowns including employee discounts were 38.7%. Stock shortage was 2.8, and the gross margin was 46.6. Determine the initial markup percentage. So you know you're going to use the formula for the IMU for percentages, correct? Because that's all that you have here. Go ahead and calculate the IMU percent. Does anybody have the formula that they can give to me for IMU? What's the formula for IMU?
Gross margin percent plus retail reductions percent.
Gross margin percent plus, I'm just going to say retail reductions percent, RR, divided by?
100% plus retail reductions percent.
Okay. There's your formula. All you got to do is plug it in now. Is employee discounts a retail reduction? Yes. Employee discounts. Don't forget, whenever you're giving an employee a discount of some sort, you're reducing your inventory by whatever discount they're getting. It's considered a retail reduction. Is a shortage a retail reduction? Yes. There you go. So what did we get as our answer? No, very good. There you go. So your gross margin was 46.6 plus 38.7 plus 2.8, all divided by 100 plus 38.7 plus 2.8%. 88.1 divided by 141.5 equals 62.3%. All right, good job. Olivia. Go back that one. All right, here we go. Here's another one. A sporting goods store has an initial markup of 60.5. The expenses are 31%. Markdowns are 12%. The cost of assembling bicycles, okay, and so on. Workroom costs are 6%. Shortages are 1%. What is the maintained markup percentage? For the last one, 62.3. So how do we set this one up? What's the formula for MMU, for percentages? What do we have? MMU is equal to?
Initial markup percent.
Uh-huh.
Retail reductions percent multiplied by 100% minus initial markup percent.
Very good. Now remember, you're always going to want to calculate for what's in the parentheses first, right? So make sure you're following the right steps. All right, anybody have an answer? Maybe? All right, here we go. Huh? What'd you come up with?
40.75.
You're absolutely right. There you go, good job. Look at that. Here we go. So MMU is equal to IMU minus your retail reductions percent times 100 minus the IMU. So you know that your IMU was 60.5. You're going to add up all your retail reductions, 31, 12, plus 6, plus 1, right? And you get 50% times 100 minus the IMU. What you're going to do first and foremost is you're always going to do what's in the parentheses first and calculate that. So 100 minus 60.5 is 39.5. Then you're going to multiply 50 times the 39.5 to get 19.75. 60.5 minus 19.75 equals 40.75. Okay? All right. Okay. So you might see something similar to this. This could be the other Excel problem. And then we're going to work on markdown cancellation. A buyer plans to purchase 7,200 pairs of socks for a pre-Christmas sale. The unit retail price is planned at $7.50. The markup goal for the purchase is $59. The buyer has purchased 4,800 pairs at the sock company showroom at a cost of $3.15 each. What is A, the maximum total cost the buyer can pay for the balance of the total purchase? And what will the average cost per pair for the socks yet to be purchased? Okay? So you might see something more like this, right? So this is set up for you here, just to give you some context. Retail cost, markup, need, purchases, and balance. And don't forget, that if you think about what's being asked, it all ties back to cost. I've given you some retail information, but everything's going to tie back to the cost. The cost for the balance, the average cost for the socks. You guys want to work this one together? Maybe? Kind of talk through it a little bit? Okay. Needs, purchases, balance, right? Buyer plans to purchase 72 pairs of socks for a pre-Christmas sale. The unit retail price is planned at $750. All right, so the need is there, right? So I'm buying 7,200 pairs of socks, and the unit retail price is going to be $7.50. Okay? The markup goal for that purchase is 59%. Okay? The new buyer purchases 4,800 pairs of the socks at a cost of $3.15. 4,800 times $3.15. Okay? So first and foremost, we got to go ahead and 7,200 times $7.50 is equal to 54,000. So the first thing I need to do is calculate my cost, right? So set this up to me. If I know my retail dollars and I know my markup, how do we set up how to calculate cost? What do I do? 54,000 times minus the 59%. So 54,000 times 100 minus 59%, we should get 22,140. Okay. I need to go ahead and calculate the 4,800 units times $3.15, and I get 15,120. So let's go back and reference the questions that are being asked. What is the maximum total cost the buyer can pay for the balance of the total purchase? And what will the average cost per pair for the socks yet to be purchased? Okay, so if I'm looking for a balance, what do I need to do between these two? So 22,140 minus 15,120 gives me a balance. So I still have $7,020 to be able to buy in additional purchases. Okay? Now, if I have to buy an additional $2,400 socks and I have $7,020 left to spend, how do I figure out what the average cost is going to be? So 7,020 divided by 2,400, and we get as our answer, $2.93. Okay? Now, we didn't have to worry about this or this because everything we were asking in the question tied back to cost. What was the balance that I had left to purchase? And then based upon that balance, and I need to buy 2,400 socks, how much can I pay for the socks, right, in order to achieve that 59% markup? Okay? So you will see something very similar to this as well. All right. So now, what I'd like everybody to do is we're going to go into the markdown cancellation. Okay. Let's do this here. All right, so this is going to be the other Excel problem that you are going to have on your exam. The one thing that I want to remind everybody is that if you do put the Excel formulas in, you get an additional 3 points. Okay? An additional 3 points if you actually complete the Excel problems within it. All right, so let's work this problem. The buyer for the accessories received 150 silk ties priced at $20 each. After 30 had been sold, the remaining 120 ties were reduced to $12 for a 2-day sale. Of this group, 40 ties were sold. After the sale, the buyer marked the remaining ties to $15, and all of these ties sold for $15. Calculate the net marked dollar percent. All right. So how many silk ties did we start with? We started with 150, okay? And it says here that 30 of them sold right before we decided to run this 2-day sale. So how many units do I have in my total markdown? Say again? You're right. Whoever said it. What was the answer? I started with 150 and I sold 30 at regular price, right? So before this sale starts, I have 120 units on hand. So here I'm going to put 120 units. Whoops. That should be, hold on, let me do this. 120 units. What was the original price of the ties? $20. And how much am I running, what am I selling them for during the 2-day sale? $12. Now, how do we set this up? Do you guys remember how to set the formula up? How do we do it? We're going to do equal to. We're going to click the units, right? And we're going to multiply. So we're going to use a star and do a parentheses. And I'm going to calculate the difference between the original price minus the reduced price. Close the parentheses. Hit enter. Okay? Equals my units times the difference between the original price and the reduced price. So I get 960. All right. So let me ask you, during this sale, how many did I sell? During the sale, how many did I sell? 40. So then it says, after the sale, the buyer's going to mark the remaining ties up to $15. So how many units did I have left that I actually marked back up after the sale? 80, right? Because I started with 150, I sold 30, so I had 120. During the sale, I sold 40. So now that I'm getting ready to mark up these ties again, I have 80 units left. Okay? And what was the price that I was selling it at? $12. But now what is the new price that I'm repricing it at? Okay. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do equal to our units, star, I'm going to open the parentheses. But I can't have a negative number. So I can't do 12 minus 15. I need to do 15 minus 12, and then close the parentheses and hit enter, and I get 240. So if my total markdown is 960 and my markdown cancellation is 240, how would I calculate my net dollar markdown? What do I do? If I'm looking for the net, what do I do? It was one of the problems during the PowerPoint. How do I figure out what the net markdown is going to be? I'm going to subtract. You're absolutely right. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Let me see. Here. There we go. Is that better? Okay. So yes, I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to do equals to, oops. I'm going to do equal to, let me do this. I'm going to do equal to 960 minus 240, and I'm going to get 720 as my net dollar markdown. Okay. Now, in order to figure out the net markdown percent, I have to have all of my sales for this item, because in the end, I sold them all. So how many ties did I sell in the beginning at regular price? 30. And what price was that at? At 20. So if I go equal to 30, and I hit the star button, and I multiply it by $20, that means that was $600. What was the next quantity that I sold? During the promotion, how many did I sell? Okay. And at what price did I sell them at? 12. I'm going to do the same thing. Equals 40, star, 12, enter. I get 480. All right? So then if I started with 150, I sold 30, and then I had 40. So how many did I have left? Because I sold the rest at the $15 price point. How many's left? I'm sorry? 80. Very good. And what price did I sell them at? Oops, let me make sure. Okay. Sold it at $15. Going to do the same thing. Equal 80, star, 15. Hit enter. And then I'm going to go ahead and sum them all. So I get 2,280. Okay? So if I know that my net dollar amount is 720, and I know my total sales are 2280, how do I figure out what my net markdown percentage is going to be? What's the last step? Divide? Absolutely right. So I'm going to do equal 720 divided by 2280, and I get 31.58%. So this problem is also worth, I believe it's worth 5 points, and then you have the opportunity to earn an additional 3 points if you put the formula in. Any questions around this problem?
How did you get a markdown percent again, the net markdown?
You take your net markdown dollar amount divided by your total sales, and I get my net markdown percent of 31.58. Yes?
So like when we do the Excel problem, it'll be all labeled and look like that?
So it will be set up for you, just like the blank template that was there before, and then you will go put in the formulas. And then I go back and I'll manually go in, and I just double check that your formulas are in there, and you get the extra point. So also too, just to give some context, also too for next week, I will not be in class next week. You guys will have a speaker on Thursday. I have to go out of town. So I will do my best to get your exams graded as soon as possible, but it's going to take me a few days since I'm going to be out of town. Okay. Any other questions around the review? Okay, so you know which Excel problems you know. Those are guaranteed points right now. You have potential to earn 3 extra points right here. Yes?
Can you give us any insight on like the vocabulary that we should know?
Actually, it's more problem solving than it is definitions on this one. It's more around what we did in the review in that regard. We're actually solving problems. Alrighty, guys, have a nice weekend.